Hello again, everyone. Welcome to ACE's second tutorial on the basics of Photoshop, layers, that kind of thing. Today we're going to start off the same way and make sure that we have our workspace set to Essentials default. Now, it may not look completely exactly like mine because you can dock these different panels in different places and stretch them and shorten them and do all sorts of stuff with them. And you may not have the same styles in your styles, that sort of thing. So it may look a little different, but the main thing is if you're in this workspace, you have the essential tools ready and handy for just about all of the things that you can do with Photoshop, as opposed to workspaces that are photography specific and 3D specific and so on. So we've done that, and the first thing I want to do tonight is I wanted to create a new document. Now usually Photoshop is going to be set at 72 pixels per inch. I'm going to go ahead and set this for 300 for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's a couple of math reasons, but also because I try to make all of my artwork as high resolution as possible because I have a whole lot of hard drive space, and I don't mind making graphics that are a little bit larger than normal web graphics. It's not a space issue for me. As you can see, this is already telling me it's almost 3 megabytes and I haven't created it yet. But that's a really good resolution for like t-shirt graphics and that sort of thing. So if it was on 72, that would be the default and that'd be fine. It would change the way the math is going to work. I've already worked out the math in this tutorial, so that's why I'm at 300. But anyway, 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels, transparent background. And when I create it, you'll see that my rulers are back, just like in the first tutorial. And I'm going to pull out a ruler for my vertical midway point, which is right there, which should be about 1.67. I didn't really pay attention. And I know it's 167 going this way. 1.667 inches. That is the halfway mark, which I've already worked out the math. That means that 83.25 is, so 0.83 is fine, is a quarter of that, and 3/4 of that is exactly 2.5 inches. So 2.5. Now the reason I've done all this is what we talked about in the first tutorial about sometimes you want to find the midpoint, that sort of thing. What we're going to do this evening is we're going to start off with the elliptical marquee tool. Now remember, whenever you make an elliptical marquee or a square or a rectangle, if you hold down shift you get a perfect circle or a perfect square, whichever tool you're using. So we're going to be holding down shift when we make this circle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my crosshairs literally, if you see this white pixel and then it's got 2 gray pixels and then 3 white pixels and so on, I'm literally going to put my crosshair on the bottom right corner of that white, hold down shift, and drag out to the exact same size, the exact same last pixel on the other side. When I let go, you'll notice that I am just a block away, a block away, a block away, a block away from all of my sides. Now, my color's already black. I'm going to choose the fill bucket tool here and fill that with black. I can now Control Shift Alt N, create a new layer. What I want to do is I still want this to be selected, this circle, not this square, this half, but I don't want this half done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to the rectangular marquee tool, and when I hold down Alt, you'll see that there's a negative symbol. Well, if I just make a square selection along my midline, my Smart Guides line, this is going to subtract that entire side of just the selection. So now I only have this half selected. And I'm going to switch to white. Go back to the fill tool. I'm on a new layer. I'm going to fill this half with white. I'm going to hold down Control and D to get rid of the selections. So now I have a perfect half black, half white. It's completely centered in every direction. And it's been segmented into four pieces vertically. Now the reason for that is I'm just going to go ahead and make another layer, Control Shift Alt N, so that I'm doing the next thing on a different layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to prepare to hold down shift as usual. I'm starting right here in the middle. Make sure I'm not above or below the middle, like right on it. Holding down shift, I'm going to drag a circle until my smart guide tells me that I'm even with the top of my big circle. See that purple line that pops up? Remember how I told you smart guides was really useful? This is one way it's useful. See how it's stopped? It's perfect circle. This way and that way, it was lined up. Well, I can hold my right arrow and move it over. I can hold down shift to my right arrow, it'll move over faster. But I can also just drag it with the mouse and it'll do that snap to that I told you about. What's happening is this circle is from the exact midpoint to the exact top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to black. I'm going to switch to my paint bucket. And I'm going to fill this with black. And then I'm going to go back to the marquee tool, because as long as I have this little wedge arrow with the little box underneath it, I can use the mouse to move the selection wherever I wish. And you'll notice the smart guide purple line is telling me that I'm still lined up. When I move off that center point, it tells me I've moved off of it. And when I let go, you'll see that it is perfectly in line with the center and the edge. I'll switch this to white, go to my paint bucket tool, same layer, and it's white. I hit Control and D and the selection goes away. Now, as you can probably figure out, I'm making an Oriental yin-yang sign. I'm hoping this doesn't bother anybody, that, you know, their religious beliefs or whatever don't keep them from making a cool custom shape in a Photoshop tutorial. But at this point, I'm going to get right on the midpoint, and this time, instead of holding shift and creating a circle off to one side or the other, I'm going to do shift and alt and create from a center point like we did in the last tutorial. And this time I'm going to make it 4.6 inches, or 0.46 inches, excuse me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it, paint bucket, with white, and then I'm going to go back to my circle selection tool, and I'm going to drag it down until it tells me that it is snapping this direction. Snap in this direction, let it go, switch the colors to black, go back to my fill paint bucket tool, make this black, hit Control D to turn off my selections. If I hold Control H, my guides go away. What I could do now is I could actually, if I've got this layer selected and I hold shift and I hit this layer, it selects them all, I can right click and say merge visible. What it does is it makes this a flat layer. Now I can do blending options like you've seen me do before, except this time on a shape. I can make the shape just look, you know, mildly cooler. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Powder glow. And if I were to Control Alt Shift in and make a new layer, drop that layer below the yin yang, and let's say color at the background of Photoshop's background here, and then fill that layer. The yin yang has got this cool little glow going on both sides, and it's on a nice little background. And we made this virtually perfect curve, this S curve, and the matching dots here, and they're all centered and perfectly aligned with each other the way they should be, because we used guides. If I hit Control H, they'll come back, but I use guides, and that's why they are useful. That's why different layers are useful, because I'm overriding. Before I merged the layers into layer 3 here, I had these were on a layer, this circle was on a layer, this circle was on a layer, and the black and white were on a layer. So as you can see, it's very interesting using layers that way. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I'm definitely going to do some more, but this was just a short, cool one that I came up with. And so I will definitely make some more tutorials, but this was just to give you an idea of how you can make a perfectly organic, very circular shape. And you can do it very easily and very technically. So even if you're not an artist and you want to create something that's got a nice, organic, beautiful shape to it, rather than having to draw it, rather than having to paint it, doing it where it's not symmetrical, this is a perfectly symmetrical yin-yang, created in a technical fashion. Once again, Control and H. Everything is lined up. Thank you very much for watching. More to come.